What if I told you there are LEGO builds that break free from the traditional building instructions you have become so accustomed to? That red pill of LEGO is online MOC building. MOC, MOC, stands for My Own Creation, and there is a vast online community that builds, buys, and sells LEGO online. This video is meant to give just a glimpse of the rabbit hole that is online MOCs.
And I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
And there are a lot of current issues and things that you should be aware of before you decide to take the red pill. I mean, build a MOC. I've had so many people want to build the MOCs I create, but are hindered and intimidated by the barrier of entry. Let me start by identifying the typical process for building an online MOC. 1. Obtain MOC instructions. 2. Secure a list of LEGO bricks and order them. That's it.
Is it really so hard to believe?
Well, unfortunately, there are multiple systems in play, and it can cause confusion and numerous issues, which I'm going to further identify. Before we begin, let me say that I have only used Rebrickable, Bricklink, and Pick-a-Brick for this process, but I am aware there are many more options out there. So just know that this is not an exhaustive breakdown of how to get and build a MOC, but rather the most popular option currently available, because that's what I do. You will get instructions from online sites such as Rebrickable, Brickvault, or many other sites and builders offering their instructions, which can cost money or be free.
We can load anything from clothing to equipment, weapons, training simulations, anything we need.
Acquiring instructions usually results in you receiving a PDF file, which you now have access to and provides step-by-step building instructions. However, some instructions can be difficult to follow, or they can lead to a build that is not structurally sound. This is usually because the MOC has only been built digitally and was not properly quality tested. For example, I once found a very cool TIE Fighter build that was free, and it led me to believe that the TIE Fighter could easily fit a minifigure inside. However, once I closely analyzed the instructions, I discovered that wasn't true, and it spurred me to build my own TIE Fighter that would more easily accommodate a minifigure. I think it is very important that MOC builders provide real-life pictures of their MOC to prove it is an achievable build. And even if the MOC builder doesn't provide pictures, others who have built it will oftentimes provide pictures on Rebrickable or social media. There are tried and true MOC builders who can be relied on to provide good instructions, and you're typically going to see that in their likes, follows, and comments online. One of the reasons I use Rebrickable is its very community-centric focus that provides likes, follows, comments, and user pictures. These are great ways to see if a MOC is worth building. The second step in MOC building is securing the bricks needed to build. This is where things can start to get the most complicated, but here is the simplest scenario. Rebrickable has an inventory tab for each MOC where you can take a look at all the pieces needed, and it provides a simple button to upload that list to Bricklink or even Brickowl. Once you have your list on Bricklink, you can simply select the Buy All button and then auto-select the stores that best fit the criteria for you. For example, I live in the United States, so I always prefer to buy in the US to make things faster and cheaper on shipping. Once it selects the stores that have the parts I need, I create carts and I check out with each store, and now my pieces are on their way. Done. So that is the simplest scenario when ordering bricks. There is something I forgot to mention. There is a Buy Parts tab on Rebrickable. However, I never use this because I always need multiple carts on Bricklink, and this Buy Parts tab from Rebrickable only allows for one cart. And I want to take my entire list, go to Bricklink, and then start to work with that list with taking parts out and editing it and making multiple carts. So I just skip using the Buy Parts tab on Rebrickable. It's fantastic if you're only going to use one cart, and Rebrickable has a video, which I'll link. However, it doesn't apply to me, and I think most people agree it doesn't apply to them either for the majority of MOCs out there. But let's break this down and show where things can get a little more complicated and even where you can potentially save more money. Many MOCs are modifications of official LEGO sets and do not require you to order all the pieces needed for a MOC, but rather just the extra pieces. This is probably the #1 question I get about my MOCs, and it has a super simple solution. Let's take a look at my Millennium Falcon, which is a modification of the 2019 LEGO set 75257. There's a nice compare button in the bottom right corner of Rebrickable on the first page of this MOC. Once you know that this button exists, it's a game changer. Also, this compare feature gets even better. Many people have asked me if the 2015 Millennium Falcon has shared parts with this MOC, and there's a way to go check. On the inventory page in the top right corner, there is a compare MOC button. This is different from the previous button because it allows you to input and compare any LEGO set of your choosing. Once we input the set number, we can see that it shares 546 parts with my Falcon MOC, which is a nice chunk of change that you can now save on. If we scroll down, we are going to see that we need 2,288 extra pieces to complete my Falcon MOC. I think the biggest downside to ordering aftermarket bricks from online sellers, especially on Bricklink, is the shipping and handling costs. You may have a MOC that's only a couple hundred pieces like my X-Wing and should cost only around $50, but divide that among 3 brick sellers and now the cost is around $68 if you're lucky. My rule of thumb is to plan on adding at least $5 to $8 per seller. There are some silver linings though. Sometimes sellers will offer free shipping if you exceed a certain price point. I like going to these sellers and picking up extra minifigures and extra pieces from them. And speaking of free shipping, Pick-a-Brick on Lego.com offers free shipping on all orders over $35. Plus, you will be receiving new bricks. The downside to Pick-a-Brick is that it does not keep a consistent inventory and it is not as easy to integrate into your online brick buying. However, there is a fantastic web browser extension called Brick Hunter. This web extension allows you to see inventories of your brick list among Pick-a-Brick and Bricklink. I'm not going to cover all the details of Brick Hunter, and if you want to find out more, I'll post a link down in this video so that way you guys can go look into it a little bit further because it is a fantastic tool that you should utilize if you don't mind spending a little more time and finagling with your Bricklink lists online. I could go on and on about MOC buying and securing pieces, but I think it's best to stop here because anybody who's curious, I hope this has helped answer some questions and it gives you some tools to then go buy a MOC and figure out what solution best works for you. As I said, I think the best pipeline is the Rebrickable to Bricklink pipeline online, and it's just the easiest and I've used it the most, and I just constantly hit the auto select button.
Never send a human to do a machine's job.
And by the way, be warned, once you start online MOCs, it becomes very addictive. You start ordering pieces, you start looking for best buys on Pick-a-Brick and selecting the ones and adding to carts because you see something that you really like. It really is a downhill spiral and it's really fun, it's great, and I encourage people to get into MOCs. And overall, I think most people would agree it's a very good online community, and all the brick sellers that I've dealt with have been absolutely fantastic, even when there have been minor issues. And I know this is constantly evolving. Next year, there might be a new system out there. There might be new ways to upload Bricklink lists and get things more structured and organized for you to get things. If that happens, I'll try to let you guys know. But I don't want to be an exhaustive source. I just wanted to be a first touch point for those who have kind of a barrier of getting into MOCs. So hope this was helpful, and I hope to see you guys in another video.